Historians. I want everybody to put their hands in the air like they're going to give me a high five. Great, you're all having fives. I'm so glad. I mean, that's good. Well, as you know, we've been doing our World War II lesson lately, and we're getting towards the end, and now we're going to be talking about Truman's decision to drop the bomb on Hiroshima. Not Nagasaki, just Hiroshima. And I'm going to start this lesson with a personal story of my own. When I was on a Michigan trip this summer, I was motorcycle riding with my father. He was behind me, I was on my bike. We were driving down the highway, and then all of a sudden, deer came out of nowhere, smashed right into me. I'm down on the ground, rolling in circles, and I swear, to the day that I die, I'm going to say that my helmet flew off. My dad keeps telling me, no, you took it off after you got off the bike. I don't believe that. The helmet flew off. And so, I have my own opinion, he has his own. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be using a type of discussion. It's going to be a discussion web. It's opinion-based. And just like Truman decided to drop the bomb, it was a decision that he made, and there were two opposing sides. Whether to drop it or, opposite. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background information once I get this thing to work. So he was faced with a decision. American soldiers and civilians were weary from 4 years of war. Japanese had refused to surrender. Japan had an army of almost 2 million strong stationed at home island, guarding against invasion. The Allies demanded an unconditional surrender, and they had decided to refuse that offer, and there was actually no mention of the bomb in the immediate unconditional surrender response to Japan. And since they did that, the bomb was dropped. Truman decided to do so. It was August 6, 1945, Enola Gay dropped a bomb, and then this is the affected area right there, blast radius. It instantly killed 70,000 Japanese citizens. They were vaporized. An additional 100,000 were later killed over the following months and years from radiation poisoning and such. And so, the question I want to give you guys is, was Truman's decision to drop the bomb justifiable? I have a couple cartoons here. I'm just showing the two opposing sides. I'll take a couple seconds to look at those. And before I give you guys the method that we're going to be using today, I want you all in your groups to think about a time when you had to experience a decision-making thing with somebody else. You had a fight maybe, or just anything along those lines. So I'll give you guys a minute. You can do it.
I had a tough decision. My brother was living in Colorado, and he told me he was driving home to surprise him.
I usually get
And I wasn't bitchy. Like, needed to tell my brother Thomas who lived up in
Any good ideas?
Like, I could just surprise him.
Yeah.
He was really upset that I had to where I couldn't calm down. And at the time I thought that was the good decision to keep it.
Does anybody want to share? Somebody from our group?
My sister decided to buy a dog, and I was like, no, don't buy a dog. And then she was like, yes, I'm going to buy a dog. So I took my credit card and bought a dog. At our house, where we're not allowed pets. So I had to make the decision on whether or not to go with her and help with the pooch and go find a house that allowed pets,
Well,
which
if
I did.
you use the strategy that I'm going to show you today, maybe it would make the decision a little bit easier for yourself. And here it is. If you guys can't open up your packets to the second side of the first page, you should have that. And I want you, in groups of 2 to 3, because I know there are some teams here that have 5, I want you to split down the middle, and one team is going to be opposing, second team is going to be justifying the use of the atomic bomb. And the question that you're going to be inserting into this section here is, was Truman's decision to drop the bomb justifiable? And so you guys are all amazing historians, so I'm sure you guys can figure out a way to separate your teams into two sides. So do so now. Please do it quickly.
those guys.
I'm going to justify that.
Oh, I was making sure I got you on my team. Can I get another copy of the extra?
Yeah, mine. Yeah, we're running a little bit. Yeah. Does everybody have their teams? You good?
So we're on which side?
Good? Everybody good? Yes. You got the email? Anybody else have any problems getting teams set up? Guys.
No, I know that it's really messed up.
Teams? Everybody's got teams? Okay, so I want the pro side here to have points of view for those, and in order to do that, you're going to be looking at that separate sheet that I also gave you. And for the pro side, you're going to be looking at Truman's document. That's going to be the first section of that paper. And then there's going to be an interview with a Japanese survivor in the second paragraph, or in the second page, that you're going to be using to come up with points for this separate paragraph here. And so, just come up with reasons within your team, read those over, and then talk to each other in your individual groups for the pro-con, and then come up with some key facts points. And remember, don't use your own bias. If you are pro, you stay a pro, and if you are a con, stay to the cons. Okay, I'm going to give you guys another minute, and then so have some statements put onto that discussion web.
They're all blown into one corner of the room.
All right, hopefully you guys have some down. Now what I need you to do is combine your efforts. Both teams, I need you to get together the pro and con for each table, and then discuss your points that you both made for the pro and con, and then come to an overall concise answer for what you think is the correct answer. So as a group, decide whether he should have or should have not dropped the bomb. And by him, I mean Truman.
More lives, what has been lost, what is invaded, because they
That's not the issue at hand here.
That just makes me really
I will end it. Tell us your two points.
So is this customer speech Apple is like this?
When you guys come to your conclusion, put it in the conclusion point at the bottom of your sheet. And have at least one statement of why you believe that is justifiable or not for the conclusion.
Bad choice. Do a discussion.
I think the other one's kind of more self-conscious, since that's always my choice. But you have more lives will be lost if we were invaded, because most of the I think it's safer to not maybe have more American
Maybe I'll give you a minute. Sorry.
That was my last one. I'm going to pick up my
guys have any ideas we can come up with?
Well, we both agreed on both sides it was a bad choice.
So even outside these two folks. So maybe we could have that. There's always this.
Yes.
We're discovering that right now.
Well, just make sure you guys come to something and then put it in that bottom section.
Bad choice.
Bad choice. Just what?
There's stories of U.S. soldiers coming to our rescue. People jumping off cliffs. They were told by like the government eating them, killing them.
I can't, honestly, I can't. Hearing
They give off acid. They kill lives. Right now. I'm just trying to move my Did any of them speak Spanish? Our word is strong. And the fire is
really not
All right, everyone, I gotta cut you short. I'm sorry. It's doing the time. Everybody? Can any team share what they came to a conclusion with for your table?
We just debated.
That's fine.
We're kind of talking about by killing people, we're saving more lives, but we think that we should save the puppies.
Okay. Anybody else?
We were also inconclusive. We kind of compared the lives of the soldiers that would have died. There were probably more civilians that died, but maybe on par. It was kind of hard to say.
Hard to say.
Like how many people would have died, but it would have been American soldiers or Japanese civilians.
So did you come to a consensus though?
We didn't really, because it's really hard to measure that. And, I mean, even the soldiers, they were mostly draftees, so how do you really, they weren't necessarily volunteers.
Okay. Angela.
We talked about how it was the first time that the bomb was dropped, and that if it wouldn't have been us who utilized that the first time, that there surely would have been a country afterwards that would have, and who knows, you know, better to have been, I mean, sad to say, but better that we did it the first time and realized the consequences of our actions rather than a country using it on us.
That's a good point. Well, I want you to take these assignments that you guys have completed back home, because you each had your own, hopefully that you wrote down some of that information and have your conclusion. I want you to form your own personal conclusion and do a 2 to 3 page paper using those points that you guys came up to. Sorry. This is history. Get with it, you know? You're historians. And then it'll be due next week, Friday. I'll give you a little extra time.